Hey, so today I'm going to write a blog post. This is going to be super informal. I already did my pins for the blog post. It's on 25 affordable Christmas gifts for neighbors. So I already did my pins here, and I usually do my pins first before I write the blog because if it's not good for Pinterest, then for me there's no point because that's where all my traffic comes from is Pinterest. So now we're going to write the blog post, and I'll just go ahead and get right into it. So I'm going to first use my customized prompts that I use for ChatGPT that help me write my blog post and outline it. And then, of course, I'll go back and add things, take away things, and edit before I call it finalized. So let me go ahead and do that. I just copied in my prompt, and let me finish copying that in. And then see what it comes out with. It's being very slow today. So while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and download a couple pins. I always add usually 2 or 3 pins to put in my blog post so that people can pin these images directly from my blog post, and that helps with the Pinterest algorithm and Pinterest traffic. So I'm just going to click share up here at the top and then download, and then the file type you always want to do PNG, and I'm going to just choose 2. Let's see which 2. I did a total of 10 pins for this blog post, so I'll just do the first 2. Those are okay. So I'll click page 1 and page 2, hit done, and then download, and it'll just take a second to download. Okay, and then when you download more than one, it downloads into this zip file. So you have to extract these. So I hit extract all, and then hit extract at the bottom. And then the images come up here. And then I usually rename the images to something that has a keyword in it instead of just leaving it like this 1 or 2, because that helps with SEO and things like that. So I'm going to rename these images. So you go to show more options. Rename. And I can rename both of those. I have both of them selected, so it renames them both at the same time. And then I'm just going to drag this over to the other screen to use later. And let's see how the ChatGPT prompt is coming along. Okay. So it's still going. So while that's still going, I'm going to go ahead and do my featured image. So these are my templates for my featured images that I use in my blog post. So I'll show you how I use that. But let me go ahead and make a copy of my last one because I use the same format for all of them. I just change the image and the name on the image. So I'll rename this file for my blog post name and open it up. So here's the one that I did last time. So I'm going to go ahead and rename, change the wording on here. I'm just copying and pasting this right from my tracker, my blog post tracker. And I have a link below for that if you're interested in what I use for my tracker. That's a little bit too big. Make it a little bit smaller. Okay. So now I'm going to swap out my image. And from where I already made these pins earlier, I do have a few images that I've already used. So I don't have to go searching for images again. Yeah, let's see. Let's try this one. That one's good. So I'm just going to download this image, and this will go into my blog post. Now for the blog posts, the ones that go into my blog posts, I do it as a JPEG because I don't want huge files on my blog posts to make it slower. And then I also use a tool, I'll pull it up here, Tiny PNG, to shrink it even further, shrink the file size. So I'm going to drop that in there and then download it, and then that will be ready to go in my blog post. And then I'll also put in the title, and then I'll set this as the featured image, put in the alternative text there. There's my featured image button from Media Library, from where I have already pulled it in to WordPress. Then you have to put the alt text in again, and then hit set featured image. And then also for the link, I usually take out the numbers if it's, most of my blog posts are 25 this or 35 that, but I usually take that out in case you ever want to go and update your blog posts and add, then you're not pegged to that URL that says 25 affordable Christmas gifts. You can increase it to 35 or 50 or whatever. And I'll go ahead and choose my category while I'm thinking about it. And then the last thing I'll do is put in the SEO description here. But let's see how ChatGPT is doing. It's going really slow today. So it's at 24. So we're trying to get to 25, so it's almost there. Okay, so it's almost done. And as soon as that's done, I'll have a couple more prompts that I'll use for the intro and conclusion. Okay, so I'll just copy that, and I paste it in here, and then I'm going to get rid of all of that part at the beginning. And then I also usually get rid of these little lines, just because when you copy it into WordPress, it kind of looks weird, so I don't like those in there. And then I like to always add something personal into my blog post, so it's just not, you know, something straight out of AI. I think that helps with engagement as well when people are reading your blog posts. And then I also always add a lead magnet into my blog posts, and I'll show you what I mean by that, but it's basically a way to capture email addresses so that people get on your email list. And that's a really good thing to do, because you'll always have your email list, but you know, you won't maybe always have Pinterest if something happens to your account or whatever. The same thing with Facebook. You could, you know, get kicked off of Facebook for whatever reason and then lose all your followers. So it's always good to start your blog by collecting email lists and put in email opt-in form. So I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the intro. Hopefully this won't take as long. Okay, I'm gonna give it the blog post name. Okay. So go back up to the top there and replace this generic intro. And then I'll do the same thing with the conclusion. Put in my customized prompt here. Okay, so we'll copy that in. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to skim through here, and I like to put in a lot of also spaces in between sentences. That helps with time on screen, the amount of time people spend on your blog post. And also I have ads, so it enables more ads to be put onto my blog post. So that's another thing that I do as I'm reading this and editing. I go through and kind of go like that, so it's not just a big block of text, and it also helps with readability so that it's not so hard to read, because like this is a lot harder to read, you know, than this where it's kind of more evenly spaced and it's just like one sentence at a time. So I like to go through and do that. So you just want to go through here and read for anything that you need to change, and just make sure not to, you know, copy it directly from ChatGPT. And you also want to make sure when you are using your prompts that you customize it for your voice and your experience, and that's what my prompt does. It customizes it for the way that I write and, you know, my experiences, so it's helpful in making a nice blog post that doesn't sound like AI and my writing style. Okay, so now we're at the wrap-up section. And another thing I usually add in are my previous blog posts. It's called interlinking, that pertain to or relate to this subject. So that way when people click on this blog post, they will also be led to other blog posts on my website, and that increases clicks and the amount of time people spend on your website. So I have a list of all of my blog posts that I write, that I track, and usually right before the wrap up, I put something like "you may also enjoy," and then I find some of my seasonal posts. I usually do about 3 at a time. And then I go back and I put the links to each of these in there. And I always do my blog posts first in a Word document, or you could use Google Docs, just so I have it saved another place other than just on WordPress. And it's easier for me to edit and things like that here versus editing on WordPress. Okay, so that's done. So now I'm just gonna select all of this, copy it, and put it into WordPress, into my new document here, my new page in WordPress. And then I'll also show you what I was referring to about putting in a lead magnet. So usually I copy the lead magnet that I did from a previous related blog post, so that's what I'm going to do here. Let's go back here. Oh, there we go. So I'll go to all posts and I'll look at the last one that I had. The last Christmas post that I had. So it was that one. And then it should pull up the old blog post I had that will show where I had the, let's scroll down here. Oh, maybe I didn't have one in this. I need to go back and add. Yeah, I need to go back and add a lead magnet in that one and see if it was in this one. Okay, I'll come back to that part. But usually you're going to want to put a lead magnet into each of your blog posts. So let's go ahead. So this is my blog that I just wrote in Word, and I copied and pasted it in here. And then I'm just going to kind of scan through to make sure everything looks okay. And then I usually do an H2 header for the wrap up. And then the pins that I downloaded, I'm going to also put these in this tiny PNG to shrink the file size. So that it doesn't bog down my website, and that just takes a second. Okay, so now I can hit download all images, and then it pulls up here. And then I have to do the same process as before. I have to extract because it uploads as a zip file. And this is popping up on another screen here. So then I'm going to go to my post, and I'm just going to place the 2 pins in a couple of random places. So let's do one after number 6. So you can drag it right in there. And then you're going to also want to have the alt text in here that describes your image. And then I usually center it. And then I'll scroll down and put the other pin a little bit further down. So I'll do it right here. Put in that alt text. And then I'm going to use a customized prompt that I use to write an SEO description that's going to have a lot of keywords in it. So let's see, here we go. Go back here while that's going and make sure that this is saved. It usually auto saves, but I just like to make sure. And let's check out how it looks from the mobile view. That's a good way to do it because most people look at blog posts and websites and things from their phone. So this is a good way to see if you need to break up some of your paragraphs like this. I probably should break up a little bit. And then you can just kind of scroll through there quickly and see if anything else looks like it needs to be adjusted. Okay, let's see how this is doing. So it just gave me a short SEO description, which is what you want. It just needs to be short. And over here at the side is where you'll put that. Just make sure it sounds okay. Make sure all of this is filled out. And then I'm done, and I'm going to hit publish. And publish. And after this is done, I'm going to take the URL and submit it for indexing for Bing and Google. That just helps it get indexed faster so that it can get picked up in Google or Bing traffic. So that's it. And thank you so much for joining me today. Check out the links in the description for more tutorials on Pinterest and blogging, and also a couple of free resources that can help you out. I'll talk to you in the next one.